friends. These are going to be your debate notes. So make sure that you have your debate notes document opened up, and then you can kind of pause this video where you need to and take notes as you go. So basically, just right off the bat, debates do have a purpose. Basically, a debate is a contest or a competition, which makes it a little bit more fun. It's not you attacking the other team and the people on the other team, but it is you trying to out-reason the other side. It's kind of a mental tug of war. If you think about the tug of war we have at Pet Fest, it gets a little competitive. But you do want to try and prove that your side is better, and you want to basically win the argument. Not all issues are debatable. So when you're thinking about topics, make sure that you look at the topic list carefully. But if you want to come up with a topic of your own choice, you just need to make sure that the topic is actually something that you can debate. Last year, a group came up to Mrs. Onstead and myself and said, okay, we know what we want to do for our debate. And we said, what? And they said, we want to do child abuse. And I said, okay, so who's arguing for child abuse? And they were like, oh, okay. So no one's going to argue that child abuse is good or necessary. So you need to have a topic that is actually two-sided, like people can debate both sides easily. Debate issues are stated in the form of a proposition. So when you hear the term proposition, that's how policy debates are proposed. So these are some examples. The death penalty should be upheld in all 50 states. They want a law, a policy that says the death penalty should be upheld across the United States. Another example is animal experimentation should be abolished. So they want a law that says animal experimentation is not allowed. So this is how your debate proposition will be stated. The burden of proof is a term that you need to know. Proving a problem exists with the current statement. One team will be responsible for proving that there is an issue with what we currently have. You have the burden of trying to prove the problem with what is currently going on. The status quo is basically what is currently in place. If you are a High School Musical fan, you might remember the song about the status quo in that movie. You might not have seen that movie now. I don't know if that's a little bit dated. But anyways, basically whatever is currently in place, the laws and systems that are currently in place. For example, the status quo for the drinking age, you have to be 21 to purchase alcohol. That's the status quo because it's currently in place. A new recent change to the status quo is that alcohol can be purchased now on Sundays. So there are three parts in a formal policy debate. I call these the 3 times you speak, but really this is the 3 elements of a policy debate. Constructive speech is 6 minutes long. Your cross-examination speech is 2 minutes long, and your rebuttal is 2 to 3 minutes. These may change slightly now that we're doing online learning. We'll kind of see how it goes, but anyway, this is how a policy debate speeches are laid out per person. What are the 2 sides in a formal policy debate? So there are only 2 sides, and they are called the affirmative side and the negative side, and we'll go through what each one of those kind of does. If you are the affirmative side, basically the affirmative side's job is to attack the status quo. So they need to say what is currently in place, the laws that we currently have, or some law that we currently have, is not working. There is something wrong or flawed about it. They need to argue that a change should occur. So they need to come up with some sort of a plan because they have a better idea from what the status quo is. They have something that says, this would be better than what we currently have. We need some sort of a change. The affirmative side has the burden of proof. They have to prove that there is a problem with the current system, which is sometimes difficult because if we have laws in place, they're usually in place for a reason. But somehow the affirmative side has to say, well, there's an issue with what we currently are doing, though. So they have the burden of proof. The affirmative side really gets to kind of set the tone for the debate. They speak first, they speak last, and the reason is because they have more of a challenge. Their job is to prove that we need a change, and that is not always easy. If you've ever tried to change somebody's mind about something, it's not necessarily an easy thing to do. So they have more of a challenge. That's why they get, the better speaking positions. The basic task of the negative side. So if you're on the negative side, you are trying to defend what is currently in place. Basically, you are negative about change. You like what is currently going on and what we currently have. You are trying to disprove the affirmative's attacks. So whatever the affirmative comes up with, the negative side wants to disprove anything that any ideas that they have. The negative side. This is the way that they can center their attack on the affirmative. This is how they can go after the affirmative side. They can prove that the status quo is working. They can say the legal drinking age is set at 21 because, it used to be at 18. Things didn't work, so it's back to 21 for a reason. They're going to try to defend what the status quo is. They're going to try to attack the affirmative's plan. So the affirmative side has to come up with a better option, better ideas. And so the negative side needs to attack whatever the affirmative side comes up with for change, for their plan. You also can attack the link between the need and the plan. So if they're saying your plan that you came up with has no link to the issue, the affirmative side might come up with a plan that isn't logical or isn't practical, so they can talk about the practicality and the link between the need and the plan, and that it isn't going to work. Basically, the negative is attacking everything that the affirmative side is saying. It's hard to be the negative side sometimes because you don't know the plan that the affirmative side is going to come up with. The affirmative side isn't going to come up to you before the debate and say, here's the plan that we're proposing. Here's what we're going to say. Really, both sides, you're not going to know what the other side is going to say or what the other side is going to come up with. So you just have to be really ready and prepared, and that means having a lot of research and really doing your work to try and come up with, okay, what could the affirmative side possibly come up with to make for their change? What might they say, and how can we be ready to disprove them? Whatever the affirmative side is going to come up with, the negative side needs to be prepared to challenge it and to have facts that'll disprove it. So you don't know what they're going to say, but you have to try and prepare to know what they're going to say. So you want to have all different types of evidence. You're going to do your research. You're going to have facts, stories, testimonials, examples, and you want to appeal to both logic and emotion. When we did our discussions this year, our group discussions, I told you want to have stories that appeal to people's emotions, and you also want to have numbers and facts and statistics and logic. However, you can get people to agree that what you're saying is correct and what the other team is saying is wrong. So these are things that we've talked about before, but problems with your evidence. If you have unreliable evidence, like you can't really trust the source that you got your information from. If you name a source and we're like, I don't know if I trust Wikipedia. If you talk about information that isn't credible, it doesn't seem like it came from a source that we can trust. It doesn't seem like it came from somebody that we can rely on. If it's not relevant to the topic, if you're talking about issues that are going on in a different country, we might say, well, that's not really relevant to us. If you're talking about something that happened in the year 2000, your audience might say, well, the year 2000 is kind of a long time ago at this point. That was 20 years ago. Don't you have any more research that's relevant to right now? So you want to just make sure that you're, being very clear and focused with your evidence. I should have gone on to the next slide, but that's okay. Unsupported assertions, what are they? So if you make a statement that has no supporting evidence, it's not effective. These statements are not effective because they have no supporting evidence. Lowering the drinking age to 18 would benefit everyone. Okay, how do you know that? Why would it benefit everyone? It's not right for adults to use social networking. Okay, why not? You need to back up what you're saying. You need to have examples. This is why you need to have your research. You have to give at least 7 verbal citations during your speech during the 3 times that you speak during your debate. So you have to give the name or the publication. So name the person or name, the place where they're from, like the New York Times or something. The date. So then we can say, oh, okay, this is relevant because it's from 2018. So you need at least 7 verbal citations. Okay, this example I think will really help you because this is my real life example. When I was in high school in 11th grade, I did my debate on this topic. So it was 2 against 2. I was with my friend Maria, and we were going against our friends Shelby and Sadie. And our proposition was there should not be a curfew law for teenagers under 18. Notice that the status quo is that there is a curfew law for teenagers under 18. So the proposition is going against the status quo. The proposition is saying we don't need a curfew law. So the affirmative side is arguing for that proposition, that there doesn't need to be a curfew law. They want to change the law so that there is no longer a curfew. So the affirmative side has the burden of proof. They must prove that there's an issue with the curfew law. They have to prove that there's problems with the curfew law. It's not working well. And so they have that burden of proof, and they have to come up with a plan that says, here's what we should do instead. Here's what would be better. Here's why this law is not working. The negative side is arguing that no change is necessary. The status quo is currently working. So what we have in place is working, the law is working, the curfew law is fine, we like it the way it is, and the negative side is going to attack any plan that the affirmative comes up with. I was on the negative side when we did this debate because we felt that it would be easier, to be honest. We felt that it would be easier to argue for something that's already in place. We were like, okay, the law is the law for a reason. It'll be easy to, find research and statistics to back up the curfew law and to say that it's necessary and to say that it's a good thing. However, the affirmative side ended up going and talking to police officers and talking to people in the community. And that was really, really helpful for their side. And they were actually able to prove that having the curfew law wasn't beneficial. Just by talking to people who were relevant to the topic. And we ended up losing the debate, which I'm not very proud to say at all. But I should have thought a little bit more about it because I shouldn't have just taken the side that I thought was easier. I should have taken the side that maybe I could have actually felt a little bit stronger about, and then maybe I could have actually found some more research about. I don't know, but we did not win our debate, and I was not happy about it. So try not to just pick the side that you think is easier. Pick the side that maybe you feel strongly about and you feel like you could actually get some good research about. I hope this is helpful. We'll keep working on this and getting more information on it as we go, but make sure that you fill out your notes and turn them in when you're done. Thanks, guys.